you're hitting, Jenny. Hello and welcome. We are on the roll, presented to you by Angle 3 Pictures. My name is Mayen. Today we're joined by...
Léah,
Benjamin,
Daryl,
and Joey.
And today's topic, we're going to talk about Nolan. The reckoning. We are on the knoll. Nolaning.
Part 2.
Part 2.
What do you mean you don't like Interstellar?
Whoa!
Oh, that's right. Just open up the hornet's nest.
Okay.
Can of worms reopened.
Okay. So, Interstellar is a wonderful, beautiful film. Until the third act.
I get it.
And then suddenly in the third act, I'm like, why am I watching a really, really pretty episode of Doctor Who?
I've
seen this before.
This Doctor Who, what you're really comparing this to?
Yes. Because there are so many episodes that are like it. Now, the thing is, because I'm only looking at it from the story point of view.
Yeah.
And I liked Interstellar, but when it went to the third act, I was like, and I just kind of waited for it to end.
Okay, let's play the experiment then. I mean, no, because I agree with you to some extent, because Interstellar is not by all means flawless. There are flaws in it. How would you have? What would be your suggestions for changing up the third act?
Ooh,
I'm assuming so. That's when Matt Damon reveals to be
Matt. Oh yeah, Matt.
Yeah, Matt Damon is in that movie.
Spoiler.
I totally forgot about it.
He left the set of Martian.
Because I thought that was my memories from The Martian.
He left the set of Martian to be in that movie.
Yeah.
He just never took off his
I totally forgot that was
spacesuit.
like a whole other movie as well.
Okay, sorry. So then when
The third act is
when did
he
you
starts making,
Potatoes out of poo.
Okay, so I'll reverse engineer that. At what point did you start blacking out? And like, what was the last memory you had of Interstellar's act before it just went blah to you?
When...
Because clearly it was before Matt Damon.
No. What kind of not mattering to me was the moment Matthew McConaughey's character went into the continuum.
The black hole.
The black hole.
Yeah.
Into the Tesseract.
Yeah, into the
Tesseract.
Tesseract. The moment that happened, I was like,
Okay.
Yeah.
you've lost me.
So you didn't really like the resolution to all of the questions, really?
Yeah. And it was kind of unfortunate because I really liked the setup of all the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really...
And I
It was-
almost kind of wish that I never found out.
Yeah.
Like, if he had gone into the Tesseract and it just ended there,
Yeah.
and everyone was like, no! I'd be like, yo, good movie, I'm gonna go home.
What were you expecting?
I think it was because of the fourth dimensional beings putting up that to symbolize. I think I see what, because that was where the movie lost me, is where they were like, there's fourth dimensional beings, let's just accept that happened, they created this, and this is how they communicate back to the past.
Have you seen Arrival by any chance?
Yes.
Arrival did something very, very similar, but the thing about the film was that you didn't need to explore that.
I think
Very different.
I think they put it in organically. In a way, kind of organically.
Wait, sorry, are you meaning they put it in organically or they put it in inorganically?
Or are they organic and they put it in inorganically?
Well, they're organic beings, but
Well, no, they weren't fourth. They're still them. They're in a fourth dimension, but the beings themselves are not considered as fourth dimensional beings.
The black, the warp, the wormhole that appears next to Jupiter,
Yeah.
which they
Yeah.
discover, they don't know how that arrived there or
Yeah.
why it specifically just arrived there.
Yeah.
But they believe that fourth dimensional beings from a future time may have created
Yeah.
that
Oh, I
for
thought it was
us
just them.
yeah.
And
So the theory in the end of Interstellar is that thanks to that happening,
Yeah.
that continuum, that the human humanity can now exist beyond what's destruction
so
of
it's
Earth.
just humanity
Yeah.
in a different
Yeah,
space and time.
many years from now that
Yeah.
end up working that we could actually develop warp technology, and they create that for our older selves to continue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, one person's being is almost infinite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of in a way.
And that's the point of the film, was that as with all of this
Yeah,
happening
so
around
good.
the universe, there is still what's the constants, which is love and the relationship.
yeah.
How strong a relationship between a daughter and a father can be through time and space, literal
Yeah.
time and space.
I really liked that idea of love was stronger than science, because that was because if they'd gone with Anne Hathaway's character's suggestion in the first place,
Yeah.
they wouldn't have ended up where they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But having said that, I also felt like it did try and explain too much. Like I loved it, but I also wanted to retain more mystery around that. And I think a lot of science fiction films do suffer from explaining too much. Like Prometheus was the same. It
Yeah.
suffered from explaining way too much.
But Nolan does that with his dialogue, even in Inception
Yeah.
and stuff. When he's describing a basic concept, it's like when
he
the
ki-
characters are talking to each
Yeah.
other, it's like
He
they're
kind of
talking.
exposition sometimes.
To like,
yeah.
those
Sometimes
drawn
he
out
needs
stuff.
it for people to get on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think Nolan, like in a way, Nolan is good at kind of doing that without going back to what we said earlier in last episode. Nolan was good at not kind of forcing people to like hammering it down on people.
Yeah.
Which is weird because in
Yeah.
Stellar, he should not have really hammered down on the love aspect. Or
Yeah, I think that's
just a little
that
more
was
subtle
his
would be-
mistake.
Yeah,
I think that was a bit too hard on the nose, the love one, because they were spelling it out
yeah.
halfway through the movie.
It was a
right?
great concept though.
Yeah,
Really,
yeah,
really
it was a good concept. I kind of wish they kind of weaved it a bit better
Yeah,
for Interstellar.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and also the fact that they were just explaining like how he knew where to go and stuff. Like I didn't really need to know all the little nitty gritty details of that, and I felt like it did explain a bit too much.
Yeah.
I kind of want to watch it again right now because I don't remember a lot of these things. That you're
Oh
talking
yeah,
about.
I just felt like it
Yeah.
could have had more mystery.
I
Yeah, but having said that, I still really enjoyed it, and I didn't have that sort of huge problem.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't that person going, "Oh well, scientifically speaking, that's not how a black hole works."
Yeah.
Like I just don't watch movies like that.
Can we pause for a while and comment about how the black guy had like the worst time in that movie, right?
He did.
David
He had like the
Yellow.
worst
Oh,
time.
that broke my
24
heart.
years.
David
Yeah.
Oyelowo.
Like the
That broke my
commander,
heart.
He
the
was
commander
amazing.
died in the tsunami thing, and that was like it for him. It was good. It was like psh,
The other guy for 17
that,
years.
that
or
guy
whatever.
got left for like 20 years, waited,
Yeah,
and then he blew up.
And then he blew up. Oh, I know.
It's like he
Sorry,
finally
spoilers,
reached the
spoilers.
planet. Boom! It was like gone.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he
If
had
it's
a
any
really bad
consolation,
time.
he was asleep for I think 4 or 5 or 6 years of that.
Yeah, but that's still
Yeah,
so
but
many
20
years.
years. Yeah.
Like
He
by
physically
himself.
aged. Like
Yeah.
he had white hair
I
at
thought
the
that
end.
was a fantastic piece of acting from that guy because I was totally convinced that he'd been left by himself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for
they
that
were
amount
like,
of
"We'll
time.
leave you in a room for like half a day. You do
Yeah.
you. Come back and we'll do your
I
scene."
think that was the one part of that movie that really
felt
made me cry.
I feel
because
really
then
sad
they had to
about-
watch all of those
Yeah,
videos.
that
as
was the
well,
one.
and
I think
it
that
was
one
just
got
like,
me.
When he saw
Yeah.
his
Was-
son.
Ginny was
amazing.
next to me. I grabbed her hand and she was just like, "It's okay, it's okay," and I was just like weeping and like shaking and that was a really well done scene and very reserved as well. Like camera just stayed tracked very slowly in, and you just had the entire thing happen in front of you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty brutal.
I mean,
So brutal.
I'd also like to say it's important to mention that everyone's a critic,
Yeah.
and I really enjoy a lot of Nolan's films. I just kind of don't really think that I don't, really like Inception or Interstellar that much compared to his others. Because
Yeah.
I love his others.
Also, people who hype up Inception about being like complicated, it's not. They go down 3 layers, they go back up. It's simple, guys. It's simple. If you can't follow that,
I do agree with you. It's not as complicated as people make out. I was actually quite surprised because one of my friends, she actually paused the movie and she actually had to like write down all of the different layers just to follow.
if
you
you
want
want,
three,
yeah.
it's like,
Yeah. And
wow,
then she,
so many numbers.
and she couldn't quite figure it out. And I was like, look, this is snow, and this is when
They
he's
put
in a
it in,
hotel.
they put it in different settings to completely show you how they
Yeah.
they break it down at the beginning of the film, so you're not confused at the end of the film.
Yeah.
It's just
But if it's so simple, if you say it's so simple, and it is simple, yes, I agree with you. That it's just 3 layers. Then why is your critique of the film that we should only go for 2 layers to make it even more simpler?
oh no, it's
That's not the critique of it.
it's not.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just
Yeah.
like the first. No, when he said it earlier on last episode, he was mentioning how they shouldn't have played the 2-layer card that early in the film.
Oh,
It
Yeah.
should only have been
Yeah.
at the end, and so like, let's go under. It's like, can we do that?
Kind of
I
that.
don't know. Let's find out.
Yeah,
But that's what happens in a dream, though, because you
Yeah.
you have multiple steps of dreams. Like I've woken up from a dream into another dream, and then
But it seemed. I really believe that happened way too early in the film.
yeah. Like
Oh.
narratively speaking, they play their hands.
So quickly.
so
like,
quickly.
these are all the cuts I have.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do, guys?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know?
Add a different layer. It's like I think maybe if they introduce it halfway through the film, or maybe before the heist start, that they're gonna add another layer.
Yeah,
Then-
the layer was limbo towards the end.
yeah.
Yeah.
That should have been the surprise. Where is there another layer
Yeah.
beyond this?
Yeah.
That would have been pretty cool.
Like,
I think that he needed to do that because he needed to get a lot of that out of the way.
I
because
guess, yeah.
he had to focus.
Otherwise,
on
he
the
wouldn't
core.
have understand it.
Yeah, because you need to focus on the core, which is
Yeah.
like,
Like
him and Maul. And him
Yeah,
and his
structurally,
children.
it works when
Like
when you
yeah.
play it
Yeah.
in the beginning, but narratively, I think it would have.
nah.
Yeah. All right.
I think the thing with Nolan's films is not necessarily that they're super complex, but they're just intelligent movies.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a good
And
way
I
to say
think that's really what we're going for.
Yeah.
Sometimes
in
that's
all of
still
them.
too much for people.
I just
3
think,
layers,
it's
guys,
just
3 layers,
intelligence.
simple.
It's just intelligence, and with Inception, there's just a lot of thematics, like a lot
Yeah.
of subtext that
Yeah.
is so interesting to me, and it just makes it a really intelligent.
It's a
film.
gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reason why like some people prefer watching stuff like The Big Bang Theory or like 2.5 Men instead of like movies like these because they don't have to think. And sometimes that really pisses me off. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I like it when it's a nice balance between the two, where you can zone out, but you also kind of have to keep following it. Like it
Yeah.
just grabs your attention, and you keeps your attention, but it it's not sort of
It's not
super
overworking you.
complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I love the super complicated ones as
Yeah.
well. Like I loved Memento and the fact that it just kept you on your toes.
Yeah, yeah,
You
that's
walk
right.
out to go to the bathroom, and you'll never know exactly where you are again.
Yeah. You come out and then you realize, have I gone back in? Have I gone to the toilet, or was I just?
Okay,
Yeah.
So I want to move this on to a different topic now, which is Nolanization, which is the thought that the recent Dark Knight phenomenon that has kicked off, basically reinvigorated the superhero genre, has led to what people have criticized latest films being called the Nolanization effect, which is that films have now just gone straight into dark, gritty, real, grounded, and so all of the fantastical stories that, it's like Spider-Man's a bright red and bright blue character running around, but then he has to have like a dark history and a dark past, or
backstory.
backstories and stuff, or even down to other films as well. Yeah, so I want to hear your thoughts about Nolanization and what your take is on that.
It works for Batman, but not it. You can't have Batman for every character.
Forever, Batman Forever.
You can't have Batman forever. That movie sucked. But
Go there.
I really enjoyed it.
yeah. Okay, yeah, Ben's out of the podcast.
I had to say I really enjoyed it until I started like actually taking films
Yeah.
seriously. And I was like, wow, this is really bad. But so it's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Passable. Okay. Well, you're back in. You're back in. Yeah, and on probation though.
okay.
But yeah, yeah, because I think it works for Batman, but it sometimes, going to the next movie in that DC kind of story is Superman. They went from Batman kind of dark, gritty, kind of super kind of dreary, dark Batman to super dark, dreary Batman who wears like a blue suit and is Kryptonian. you
Yeah,
know?
like a very, very dull blue and a very
Yeah,
dull
yeah. Because there's this thing going around in the internet with like the someone colorized it differently, like had it so the so Man of Steel had a different color grading where the blue kind of popped out and the red popped out, and he had more color to his.
That's the Superman I want to watch.
Yeah, and immediately that color kind of, you can see the trailer of it, and immediately that kind of gives you hope and more, not much kind of, not like that dread or
somber feeling.
Yeah, that somber feel. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. The somber feeling that they had in the trailer for Man of Steel, and I think
why do you think that is? I mean, because comic books have obviously comes in all shapes and sizes, from really like gritty stories to very, very camp, more brighter colors. But it seems like for me, I feel like studios seem to have this, like, if they tackle a story like Ant-Man's, Ant-Man's not, Ant-Man's kind of a good example. It's like, it's Ant-Man. How are we gonna Ant-Man? Like, how do you make it cool, or how do you make it edgy and stuff? Like, well, let's try to really grittize it down, Nolanize it down to, like, he's a thief and he has this bad relationship, like his rocky relationship with his daughter, and dull the colors and add, because even the studio can't take it seriously, so they have to try to make it as serious as possible.
Wait, so you guys think that it's a gritty film?
Yeah.
No. But
the comic did start. What was it? What's his? Alan Scott's Ant-Man, which is Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Has that same backstory in the comics, anyways.
Yeah.
But I think I understand what you're getting. I
realize Ant-Man is not a good example, though.
Yeah, it's not a good example.
No.
I think maybe going to kind of going to TV, the Arrow TV universe. That is basically Batman with, like, Green Arrow as, like, if Batman was Green Arrow.
Yeah.
Kind of, you can see, like, the kind of dark, gritty. They're using Batman characters in Green Arrow's storyline. They're using Batman storylines in Green Arrow storylines. And so, like, the Green Arrow in the comics is very different to the Green Arrow in the DC TV universe. But, like, different. I think nowadays the cinema and subsequently the TV shows are straying away from that. Like, Wonder Woman is a good example of that kind of hopeful, like, kind of, it's still kind of gritty, but not kind of Dark Knight Nolan-esque kind of dark and gritty.
Has anybody else seen Wonder Woman yet?
Has anyone seen Wonder Woman?
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, it kind of is a bit hopeful, and that's the movie that I kind of wanted Superman to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
Yeah. Sadly, it wasn't. And Man of Steel was kind of this. What was it? Batman v Superman was the same thing with that, where they stuck to the tone that didn't actually work with the Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
with, like, I wouldn't agree that this was Nolanization, really, because I think all movies have really gone that way, where they're trying to be grittier and more realistic. But I think that comic book movies like the DC and the Marvel are still really, like, not grounded in reality. I think they're still really fantastical. Like, when you watch Captain America, there's still the big good guy who's got these incredible powers, and then the big bad guy who's got these incredible powers, and then they fight, and then the good guy wins, and that's always been comics, But with the Batman, it was sort of, the lines were really blurred, and it was very real, because there was a reason why people like that. They might be heightened on gas, or he's made this cool power suit, but he doesn't have any special powers.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's what made Batman really different, and Nolan's take on it really different, whereas usually those things are still very fantastical, because they appreciate people want to get out of reality and into a new one. But the way that it's going darker, I'm quite interested to hear what people think, like, why do you think it has gone darker? But I don't think that it's anything to do with Nolan.
I think they missed the point completely with, I think people have missed. I think the studios have missed the point completely
Yeah,
with
exactly.
the Nolanization of Nolan films. Is that it's not that it's dark or gritty or it happens at night or it's in a location which we could all easily access. Like it's not like a Metropolis, like the Batman and Robin kind of films, like where it's just like gargoyles on the side of buildings kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think they took the tone and they go, look, that's what everybody wants. That's what everybody wants, and it's like it's not that. I think it's the groundedness that's what Nolan did. Nolan actually spent half the film of Batman Begins explaining who the person underneath the suit is and why Bruce Wayne got to where he was, how he got from a traumatic child seeing his parents murdered in front of him to becoming an altruistic figure that is slightly sociopathic, that goes, I could use all my money and actually fight crime and make sure this never happens again. And it's a pretty, I mean, and that's why I personally think Christian Bale makes a way better Bruce Wayne than Ben Affleck. Yeah, because you can't see that, like Christian Bale looks like someone who could be unhinged enough and a billionaire enough to actually.
He has the eyes of a killer.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in the same elevator as him.
Exactly. But that's what I think Man of Steel missed out. It was like you didn't develop Superman enough to understand why Superman does what he will end up doing.
Yeah.
And they took all the hope out of it. Like, that's the thing that I really hated about Man of Steel, was that there was just no longer any hope. And even though, Nolan was a producer on that, I just felt like...
He probably just made one phone call and that's really bad.
That's totally it.
Because I looked at it and I went, there are elements of Nolan in this, but it's actually not a Nolan film at all, because he has a lot of hope. Like, when you watch Batman, it's all about rising up and never giving up, and it's always about that. It's always really driving and hopeful.
Yeah.
Whereas this one was just like, the bad guy's gonna win kind of thing. It just always felt like the bad guy was gonna win.
And
and that's more of a Zack Snyder thing, because that's in Watchmen and that's in Sucker Punch. There's so much darkness, and that's very Snyder. But that's not a Nolan thing.
Yeah. And I think what they missed okay, I'm gonna shit on Man of Steel now. What they missed on Man of Steel, they kind of didn't see how it worked in Batman Begins and the Nolan Batman trilogy, is that Batman grew up with this kind of, how Daryl was saying was, Batman had this upbringing that led him towards this, and in Superman and Man of Steel, his parents were all like, fuck him, sorry, like in Batman v Superman, it was like, you don't have to save them kind of thing, the dad was like, don't save the dog, there's a tornado, you can't or like, what was it, the bus scene where the bus crashes into the water. It was like, you should have let them drown or something.
They'll all die. So what?
I don't think they found that kind of, because Mama and Papa Kent would be like kind of in Richard Donner's kind of Superman would be like, you have these powers, you have to use them for good. Kind of that's the teaching they instilled in him. And then the second after Jonathan Kent says that, he dies. There's like a, you have these powers, you can use it to save everyone. He dies right away. Clark learns an important lesson: you can't save everyone. Boom. You see that at the end of that. You see that at the end of the Superman, the first movie, where he wasn't able to save Lois Lane. And he had to turn back time. Well, unlearned that lesson. He can save anyone, turns out. But like, you don't have that in Man of Steel, where you don't have the upbringing, the backstory that Batman had with the Nolan verse, that Nolan kind of constructed for Batman. I think that's what's missing on the Nolanized, quote unquote Nolanized kind of films today, like gritty reboots for Alice in Wonderland, or
it's not gritty, it's not realistic, it's actually grounded. We need grounded characters, and it's just simple. It's the basics of storytelling. It's like we need to know the thought process of these characters.
We need to relate to them with these.
We need something to work off other than it's a pretty it's a very dull blue, dull orange, dull red space alien who's had his home planet destroyed and now he's stuck in Kansas, and try to relate.
Yeah.
To relate to what? He shoots lasers out of his eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of. I think what I find is that what we're looking for right now in sort of heroes is like the fact that they are flawed, because then we can connect with them. Because if they're perfect, then it's like, oh wow, I can't really connect with you.
Yeah.
But I think that's been inherent in all the superhero films. I don't know if they've all been like perfect. Maybe back in the Tim Burton Batman days, they were like, oh look, I'm a perfect person. But even then, like his relationships were always not working outside of Batman. All of his Bruce Wayne relationships were crumbling because he was trying to be this one person and then another person.
Yeah.
So even then, he was still flawed. So I think that's a good thing, but I don't think that they should just continue making things so realistic. Like it's like I want to go to the movies and watch some fantasy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, studios are taking less and less risks now. Like even isn't Universal creating this whole dark universe where they're basically
Yeah.
I hope it bombs.
The
basically
cinematic universe.
yeah. So they're just going with what history has shown to be successes or big
Which
hits,
is a big mistake.
and so there's that risk to create something new, and that's where Christopher Nolan comes in, because everything he does is just so fresh and original.
Yeah.
That he's kind of paving the way for more creators to.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully people like us.
Yeah,
Where we
for
can
sure.
be fresh and original as well.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna make everything dark and gritty.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nolan.
Just for
Jerry, what a Soko.
Jerry Buttersoko. Yeah, the dark gritty version of Joey.
Do you guys have any comments to say about his working relationship with Hans Zimmer?
Oh
And the
yes, I
music?
wanted to touch on that.
Yeah.
I think the scoring for most of these movies are really well done, with Hans Zimmer helming most of his soundtracks. Well, he first started. Oh, I don't know. Like the one I've found. Was he part of Batman Begins?
Yes.
Was he in it? Yeah.
I love the Dark Knight soundtrack.
It's really good.
And it's I think it was a behind the scenes that I watched where Hans Zimmer explained the thought process of why he made the Dark Knight soundtrack sound the way it did, or why that's Batman's theme. And he said he understood the character, like, 'cause he said he read the script and he understood completely the psyche of Bruce Wayne, and it's simple, rising power. And how do you have simple rising power connoted in music in terms? Two notes that rise and constantly rise. And you keep simple, and that instills hope, instills power, instills everything that you need to for the character. And I'm like, that's so clever.
You can clearly see through the soundtrack that Christopher Nolan has so much input as to the kind of the levels of the score and the beats they hit and where it's placed, and like every little detail. I feel like Nolan's you can really tell his writing is going beyond the script but into the score as well. He uses, like, even with the when it comes to like underlying tension in particular scenes, you notice in a lot of Nolan films there's this kind of persistent ticking.
He loves time. Time's a massive feature in the
so
films,
even in his trailers and stuff, it's really cool how he uses it, and then he uses the emotional bits of the score so powerfully with the scene, and so it's definitely a very well collaborated duo.
Can I be honest though? Like, I think a good kind of soundtrack is something I don't notice. So like,
oh, interesting.
So the movies, when I do watch like Nolan films, I rarely notice it until like I listen to it again, or like I watch it and go out of my way to listen to it,
because I think it's like editing.
I think it kind of, the story drives that kind of score. You know.
Well, I think good direction should be that everything, the acting, the dialogue, the cinematography, and the music should all work in unison to produce the same message. To
enhance the story, not
So if I'm
from it all.
You know, when you've found a really bad soundtrack when you notice it. The
Yeah,
whole
exactly,
time, and it's actually
exactly.
distracting for you. Whereas I find that it rarely happens in a Nolan film. But
Yeah.
the opening scene of The Dark Knight Rises was like that because I couldn't hear what was going
Oh,
on.
yeah.
That was the
So
one.
audible.
That was
Yeah,
the one
yeah, I
time
know.
where I was like, "Oh, this is not good."
He's taking it a little too.
Yeah, and there were a couple of scenes in Interstellar that were like that as well, where it was just that organ just drowned everything else
Yeah,
out. It was
just
like,
overloaded,
and
yeah.
I'm like, okay, but I loved it at the same time.
Yeah.
But it was just I didn't really want to miss what the characters were
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
and
Yeah.
the relationships there.
Cool. Well, that's all the time we have for now. If you'd like to be part of this conversation, feel free to leave your comments on our Facebook page, Angle 3 Pictures. And if you'd like to know more about us and what we do, look us up at angle3.com.
That's a wrap. Cut.